What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Force Strategy Gaming. I've got another StarCraft 2 commentary for you today. This matchup going to be between EG's IdrA and Complexity's Minigun. We are here on Shakur's Plateau. You can see IdrA spawning as the red Zerg player over here in the upper right position, and then down over here in the lower left, we do have Minigun as the blue Protoss player. This is going to be a single game, not a series. One game here between Minigun and IdrA, again on Shakur's Plateau. So let's see how this is going to pan out. First and foremost, is Minigun going to forge Vast Expand? Looks like that is going to be a yes. Coming down with that pylon at the front of the ramp in front of his natural, of course implying that forge Vast Expand. He will then complete the wall off with a forge gateway and probably a Cybernex core as well, and then have some cannons laced up behind there. So we're going to follow along this probe as he makes his scouting adventure across the map of Shakur's Plateau. We can see he is actually going to be going down to the lower right position, which unfortunately for him is not where IdrA is located. So we'll be interested to see. This is going to allow IdrA to actually come out hatch first if he chooses to do so, since he's not getting scouted immediately here by Minigun. Minigun will move in shortly. He will spot that there is no creep, and then he'll be turning right back around and heading up to where he knows IdrA is, which is going to be the upper right position. You may ask me, if you're somewhat new to StarCraft or haven't seen many commentaries, how does he not know that he's over here in this position? Well, on Shakur's Plateau, your opponent cannot spawn directly north or south of you. He has to be either to the far right or left, or diagonal from where you are located. Now, it does look like IdrA will in fact be coming out pool first on this particular map. I would certainly say that's not the worst idea, given the fact that with a Protoss opponent and the fact that Protoss players like to forge Vast Expand on this map because it is very effective, given the fact that it's very probable, it's probably what informed IdrA's decision to not actually try to even bother coming out with hatch first, even though he wasn't scouted right away and he could have had that opportunity. Because regardless, if you're expecting your Protoss opponent is going to forge Vast Expand, again, depending on the map and how typical it is, and then if you have to deal with that sort of pylon and cannon harass, which we may very well be seeing here from a Minigun, then it can make it almost not worthwhile, and it kind of forces you to, just open up pool first, get those Zerglings, and then kind of work from there. Now, I'm not sure if he's actually going to go out for any cannon harass. We can see the forge is up. We've got that Nexus coming through, and right now IdrA is dealing with this pylon at his expansion. Now, he's going to come out with those first 4 Zerglings, and they will be used to get rid of that pylon. We'll be interested to see if IdrA decides to actually go back in. We'll be interested to see if Minigun actually decides to go back into that third. And you can see IdrA trying to drop the third over here, but getting delayed again by Minigun. Minigun with this constant probe harassment, continuously delaying this expansion over here and stopping IdrA from expanding for quite a while. This is actually quite impressive, and the fact that at the same time, he's been doing a decent job of maintaining his macro back at home. We can see the photon cannon is in. We've got that gateway coming through as well, and he has kept up probe production. So very nice play there by Minigun. He severely delayed that first natural expansion there for IdrA. And again, you saw IdrA had to come out with that over here. You can see he's also dropping the expansion right at his natural, so he will be sitting at a total of 3 bases, and he can actually pretty comfortably do that given the fact that Minigun has went forge Vast Expand, and he will have to work on his economy for a little while longer until he can actually pump out anything worthwhile. Now, it is entirely possible that Minigun could have canceled the expansion and then could have just pushed out against IdrA, but not very probable, especially while investing into the forge and the cannon and everything else as well. And in fact, we can see IdrA just confirming the fact that there is that expansion up and actually finished, because again, he could have canceled it while it was building, just confirming that fact with that Overlord, and then he can pretty much rest easy at this point. In fact, I'm going to go as far as to say that if he did not scout out this Nexus, say Minigun canceled it, dropped a ton of gateways, and is planning for a 1-base push, then obviously IdrA would have canceled one of these 2 hatcheries, and that way he wouldn't have been in that detrimental of a position. He could have stayed on the 2 bases and then made enough units to actually defend the likely push from Minigun. Alright, so what do we got going on now? I've just been talking about a whole bunch of theory crafting and crap, and there really hasn't been much going on in the game so far. So we do have Minigun chrono boosting out that first Zealot. He's going to be following up with a Stalker as well. It's going to be a little while until he actually makes his decision into that higher tech. There's so many options you can go with that Forge Vast Expand. You can go Gateway Heavy. You can transfer into some Stargates. You could even go to Robotics if you wanted to. That's not quite as popular. Typically, we're going to see some sort of Gateway Heavy push 6 or 7 gate, or otherwise you see some sort of Stargate play with some Gateway mixed in there as well. well. So we can see those Zerglings actually move down and try to get surrounded right now on that Zealot. And let's see if he can micro back those Zerglings in time before he actually loses any. And obviously IdrA, being a professional, is certainly able to do that. He's pulling back, not bothering to engage that Zealot quite as of yet. He's going to let those Zerglings recharge just a little bit before he even bothers to engage again, and actually coming out with a few more units. But this time we got a Stalker in the mix here, and that's going to make things a little more difficult here for IdrA. IdrA is in danger of losing those Zerglings, but actually seeing Minigun just completely bypass those, he is heading straight for the hatchery, and he will be attempting to force IdrA to make a few more Zerglings. The entire point of this pressure early on with a Zealot, a Stalker, a Zealot, Stalker, a Sentry, any type of small unit early game pressure is just trying to force that Zerg player to make a few more Zerglings instead of droning up as hard. So even though we are seeing Minigun lose some units here, the fact that he has forced a little bit of Zergling production that would have otherwise been droning up for IdrA is a good thing, and it puts him in a little bit of a better situation. So we can see back over here, Minigun, what is he going to be transferring into? We do have the level 1 weapons upgrade coming on through, actually coming out with the robotics as well, and he will be starting off with an observer, I would have to assume, and he's got a couple gateways over here, but besides that, no major decisions have been made. IdrA pushing forward with those Zerglings was attempting to actually kill off that Stalker. However, the Stalker did manage to make it back home to the safety of that Sentry and Photon Cannon. So once again, I will be very interested to see what Minigun does decide to come out with. We can see coming out with a second Cybernetics core. Oh boy, he may very well be going out with some airplay. We'd like to see a Stargate come into play. That second Cybernetics core, of course, going to allow him to pump out a lot of air upgrades. Oh no, it's because he's killing off his first one, derp. Oh, why is he doing that? He's got an avenue right here. What is Minigun doing? Canceling the Cybernetics core. Okay, so I was perplexed for a reason. I was like, what the heck is Minigun doing? He's got the space over here. He thought that he was fully walled in, and he made that second Cybernetics core to make up for the fact that he was going to be losing this one. At least he thought he had to lose that one, but realizing there was a space, decided to cancel that. That was completely bonkers, in all honesty. Now we can't see the Overlord Scout attempting to move in. He will be spotting those gateways, and that's pretty much it. Not much else. Now the one big thing that we are seeing coming out here from Minigun is that War Prism. He will be moving out with some War Prism play. Wouldn't be too surprised if he actually moved out to harass right now. He is sitting pretty Sentry heavy. He's going to have a lot of use of force fields there as well. IdrA, what does he have going on? Looks like we will be seeing Roach Heavy play from him. I haven't taken a look in his base in actually quite a while. We do just now have that layer coming through. Do keep in mind, of course, coming out with that very, very quick third expansion pretty much forced him to have to drone up to make full use of that. And that's exactly what he did. Now that he's got a very strong economy, he's got that layer finished, he can start actually really teching up pretty hard right now. He's got that Roach speed coming on through. We do have that level 1 upgrade that's just about to finish as well. We've got a lot of Roaches coming out right now for IdrA. IdrA did spot that push coming, and there we go. Another Zergling sacrificing his life to get a scout going on through. We do have that Warp Prism coming on up here, and let's see if he's going to be able to warp some guys into the main. What is he going to do? Looks like a bunch of Zealots going right into the resource line here of IdrA, and then as soon as IdrA moves down to deal with this, we should be seeing a push at the same time from Minigun into that third expansion, so that's exactly what's happening. Zealots doing what they can for damage. They will get killed by those Roaches and that Queen, however, and then here comes the other push from Minigun moving straight to that third expansion. How much damage is he going to be able to do? Oh no! IdrA running into that force field wall. He cannot protect this expansion. We should see a continuation of that force field wall, keeping IdrA's units out, and IdrA will be losing this expansion. The Zealots have been taken care of, but it really doesn't matter. IdrA losing that third, absolutely 100% guaranteed. Nothing he can do about it. Oh, IdrA happy as always. He's got to be the happiest soul that I know. With a constant force field action, though. And unfortunately for IdrA, the third is gone. He can just not deal with this. He doesn't have the necessary tools at the moment to deal with this harass from Minigun. But IdrA will be countering right now. He is feeling infuriated, and he must let his rage through on the StarCraft board here. This is unbelievable. I cannot believe how angry. Oh, yes, I do believe how angry he could. But right now, we're going to be seeing IdrA cornering the units of Minigun. He's actually getting a bunch of Zerglings, getting us around in there, but some more force fields, preventing a little bit of damage from them. The Zerglings continue to do what they can, and actually, oh my gosh, the Spore Crawler taking out the War Prism, and Minigun losing his War Prism to that Spore Crawler. That is certainly unfortunate. Do keep in mind, though, IdrA losing this expansion, that was quite a big loss for him. He's got another hatchery coming out, which will be located over here. Something else to keep in mind is that Minigun's economy really hasn't been hurt that much at all. He's been able to keep up his economy this entire time because we have seen no counter-aggression yet from IdrA. IdrA, of course, has been busy defending against this push here from Minigun. One big thing to realize, though, is that he does have Minigun cornered at the moment, so Minigun is trapped exactly where he is right now, and he doesn't have much relief of actually leaving this area. Now, one thing that he could do, we've got another Warp Prism coming through. He could actually move his units with that Warp Prism onto the low ground and then eventually work them on over here. That's certainly a possibility. He's lifting up with a probe, though. Going to be very interested to see what he decides to do over here with that probe. Is he coming out? Yes, he is. Coming out with an expansion up here, protected by these destructible rocks. We do have IdrA moving around, checking for a possible third, but the one place he hasn't checked again is right over in this position. So once more, Minigun moving his Expo over here. It looks like he will be lifting up his units and saving them, dropping them down to the low ground, and he's going to get everyone down here and then eventually move them right up here, or he could kill off the rocks. He does have those two options, although if he kills off the rocks, it makes this obviously this expansion a little more vulnerable, so we will have to wait and see what he does. IdrA moving down with those roaches, a little bit suspicious that something funny is going on, and will he start working at these rocks? It looks like he will. Is this something that Minigun is aware of? Yes, he is. He's coming down with some cannons to try to deal with it. We'll be using his units on the high ground as well to shoot those roaches and try to prevent them from moving in and doing too much damage. However, those roaches, it looks like they will be busting through, and let's see how well Minigun can defend. He actually should be A-okay in all honesty with all these sentries. As long as he's got these here, there's really nothing IdrA can do. But IdrA at the moment, just destroying those rocks and then pulling back. He's going to be using that avenue later down the road, probably sneaking some speedlings into there when Minigun's distracted by some sort of another attack. So what do we have for transitions coming out? Well, again, we do have this third here for IdrA. He is coming out with infestors. We've got those pathogen glands just about to finish right now, giving those infestors that extra energy. Minigun back in the main. It looks like he is still sticking pretty much gateway heavy. He does have that blink research coming through. Also, the level 2 weapons upgrades over there, and I hear some attacking going on. There we go. It is a Minigun destroying these back rocks, so he wants to make sure he can reinforce and actually get some workers over here as well. But right now, pretty interesting turn of events. Again, we saw Minigun destroy IdrA's third expansion, force IdrA to re-expand over there. That was certainly a big loss for him. We take a look at the total resources lost so far this game, and as you can see, IdrA is quite a bit behind. Want to see how many workers have been killed as well. 17 workers killed for Minigun, so IdrA down 17 drones. Certainly not the best of things to have happen. But again, IdrA right now has this avenue open for later in the road, and we are actually going to be seeing Minigun come out with a few more cannons to try to protect against any sort of additional IdrA attacks. And again, I do expect speedlings to possibly run in there in the future once there's another engagement going on and Minigun is distracted. So we can see right now IdrA mounting up his forces. He is sitting with quite a few infestors right now. Let's take a count here. We've got 6 infestors, 29 roaches, and 73 zerglings. He's got tons of zerglings, absolutely massive amounts. Now on the opposite side, we do have 18 stalkers, 4 immortals, and 7 zealots there, also sitting with 9 sentries as well. So Minigun got a nice healthy mix of gateway units. A little surprised that he hasn't moved into that higher tier tech, be it High Templar for Psionic Storm or possibly moving into Colossus as well. I think especially the High Templar in this matchup to deal with those infestors, dropping those feedbacks can be absolutely crucial. And here we go, IdrA feeling comfortable, prepared for an attack right now. He's mounting up his forces and might be waiting just a little bit longer. He does have hive tech coming through, as well as that spire that's going to allow him to tech up to that greater spire, come out with those brood lords. So let's see what he plans on doing. We'd also have a fourth coming out right here from Minigun as well. Minigun moving on over into this expansion. IdrA will be moving his army here. Is actually spreading out, so it looks like he's definitely getting ready for an engagement. There we go, some feedback from those High Templar. Here comes the engagement from IdrA, moving out with some speedlings and roaches and festers. Let's see if they get some big fungal growths going down. There we go, nice fungal growths on top of all of Minigun's army. We just have quite a few more roaches. However, Minigun with that proxy pylon, warping in a lot of reinforcements. Blink Stalkers moving forward, sniping down those infestors, and IdrA is going to be forced to push back right now. He's lost a lot of his forces and losing another infestor as well. And IdrA on his back foot, most certainly. Taking a look here at the resources lost, IdrA so very far behind Minigun at this point in the game. Another big thing is, as mentioned prior, there's been no economic damage done to Minigun at all. He has been on the offensive this entire time. Here we go, finally IdrA trying to move up, but look what he's walking into. A nice big photon cannon wall, a couple pylons there to provide a little bit of a buffer as well and fully formulate that wall off. That was something that IdrA was probably not expecting, was forced to push back with the Zerglings. He would have taken unnecessary losses there otherwise. So IdrA, so far in kind of a tough spot right now. Minigun has just been doing absolutely fantastic work in these engagements. Again, taking out that hatchery. Uh-oh, here we go. Some more harassment coming down from Minigun. Warping in with that Warp Prism. Some Zealots here after this expansion will be forcing IdrA to cancel this off. Really, no, even if he brings down reinforcements, he will be losing it before that happens. And there we go, forced to cancel. We've got a ton of Zerglings. We'll be getting a full surround there on the Zealots, taking them out. And then the rebuilding of that hatchery just about to happen. But here comes a push right now from Minigun. Minigun moving across the map. IdrA trying to come down with some spine collars to defend himself. He's got a couple fungal growths going down on the bulk of the army. There are the Blink Stalkers as well as that Side Storm. We need another Side Storm on all of these Zerglings. That's going to help him quite a bit, or at the very least some force fields. We've got a lot of fungal growths, and IdrA doing a pretty decent job here. Look at all of those infestors. The massive fungal growths and Minigun losing most of his army though. However, IdrA is just remaining with some infestors, and the reinforcements, the Blink Stalkers moving forward, sniping down IdrA's very expensive infestors, forcing him to push back, and IdrA laughing, in fact rolling on the floor while laughing. Minigun throwing back the smiley face. IdrA certainly not happy. I mean, he has, he's been so far behind this entire game. And even with that huge engagement, the reinforcements with those Blink Stalkers taking out the rest of the infestors for IdrA. Looks like IdrA's actually thrown his hands up and given up right now. And there you go. IdrA again, not thrilled at all. And wow. Absolutely fantastic. IdrA, that is what we know you for. That is what we know you for. I'm not going to badmouth him anymore, but it's just, he loves to be angry. So that's good. Cool stuff there. Cool shelf indeed. All right, guys. So pretty interesting game here between IdrA and Minigun. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it. I would certainly say it was intense. Again, we saw Minigun take out that expansion, doing that force field, protecting his units and stopping any reinforcements from IdrA. And then we saw a few engagements that went pretty well for Minigun. And that last engagement, even though, we saw IdrA do fantastic work during that engagement, dropping some very nice fungal growths, getting surrounded with those Speedlings, and then moving up with his roaches. The reinforcements, the quick reinforcements there from Minigun and the Blink Stalkers being able to take out those infestors while they were low on energy and couldn't land any more fungals was more than enough for him to mop up. And one of the biggest things, as mentioned, is that, IdrA's economy got harassed and slowed up quite a bit with that early game harass, plus taking out this expansion, and no economy harass at all for Minigun. He did not have to deal with it at all. He had a perfectly fine economy. It remained intact the entire game, and there was just not enough harass there from IdrA. Obviously, he had a hard time doing that because he was too busy defending against Minigun's constant aggression. But either way, good game. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it. As always, if you like the content, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. Keep watching and keep owning.